Good morning, everyone. This is Chris Strager, Central Region Director. I want to thank you all for joining me today for an update on the Central Region Consistency Team. As you all know, the QPF Consistency Test is ongoing, but the team also has a number of initiatives planned over the next year or so to further improve the consistency of services across the region. Now, before we get started with the briefing today, I really want to encourage you to submit questions through the GoToMeeting GUI as we go along. And I want to take a moment also to assure you that these questions will be anonymous. We're not going to say your name and the certain office submitted a question. I know I always was very hesitant to submit questions because I didn't want my name and office being broadcast to creation. So only we can see the questions here at the region, and we'll ensure anonymity. We're not going to put your name up there in lights. So go ahead and put those comments in, put those questions in. We're going to do our best today to answer as many questions as we can at the end of the presentation. And for those questions that we're not able to get to after the presentation, or if others come in shortly after, we're going to answer them via email in the coming weeks. We want to make sure that you have an opportunity to have your voice heard, get your comments noted, and if you have an opinion or a question, tell us. And as always, you can send it to any of the team, and we'll go over that in a couple of minutes. You're always free to please send me an email if you don't want any other eyes on it. So having said that, let's get right to the meat of things. Okay, first off, here's a current membership of the team, and these folks met in Kansas City back in early September. The team is chaired by Andy Boxell, the general forecaster at the Springfield, Missouri office. And I just want to say Andy's done a fantastic job with this. Thanks, Andy, for all of your efforts. Team is sponsored by Mike Hudson, ISD Chief, and Jeff Craven, SSD Chief here at Central Region Headquarters. As you can see from the names on there and the locations, the team has a really good blend of folks from across the region representing offices in the Great Plains, the mountains, and the Great Lakes. Now, in addition to the members of the consistency team, team's also going to be working closely with other regional teams like the Central Region Grid team and the regional DSS team. The team also plans on reaching out to subject matter experts from across the region as individual projects and initiatives are executed. And I got to say right up front then, this is going to be your opportunity to get involved with these projects and have your voice heard. If you've always wondered for years, I want to have a say in what's going on. I want to have an opportunity to weigh in on some of these topics. This is going to be your chance. Okay, let's go to the next slide then. It says core values, and this is something I really, before we dive into the team's work on these individual items, I really wanted to take a moment to talk about the core values and the approach to which this team is committed. Now, first off, we shouldn't expect quick fixes to many of these challenges. Doing this right is going to require taking a holistic approach to the consistency issue, recognizing how organizational culture and long-standing past practices have contributed to our challenges. In many cases, this means focusing not on consistent outcomes per se, but instead creating a consistent approach to expectations, tools, and training. This in turn should lead to more consistent results. I also want to make clear that the team believes that consistent does not, nor should it, mean that each office is identical. We all recognize that each office has tremendous diversity in terms of customer base, geography, population. Our goal isn't to create cookie-cutter offices. However, for example, we want an emergency manager that moves from, say, St. Louis to Denver to have a good sense of what kind of services they can expect from their local WFO and how to access those services. Or we want a FEMA regional administrator to be able to access a graphical forecast for his or her region that makes meteorological sense. And I also want to emphasize here that consistency is more than just the grids. Consistent messaging, consistent methods of communication, consistent policy, the list goes on and on. Okay, one of the biggest contributors to the consistency challenge that the team identified was a lack of clear expectations, good tools, and good training in the past. There are also few or perhaps conflicting guidelines of what was not expected. The definitions of the sideline and end zones, if you will, using a football analogy here, These things are left to each individual office to figure out on their own with little guidance, and as a result, it really isn't a big surprise that we have so many consistency challenges. So this team's absolute commitment will be to make sure that these 4 points are covered for each of their initiatives going forward. Clear expectations, good consistent tools, good consistent training, and clear guidelines of what is not expected. In other words, what is out of bounds. As an example, we've encouraged you to limit your GFE edits in the extended forecast to targets of opportunity. This is a term that's difficult to define, though I think we could probably say with some confidence that most of the time a 1 or 2 degree change in temperature 5 or 6 days from now is not a target of opportunity and not something to spend a lot of time on. Similar guidelines will continue to be provided for things like social media, well, I know there's a lot of questions there in DSS, where boundaries with the private sector must be respected. In many cases, the commitment to these 4 points may mean that projects aren't rolled out as quickly as we'd all like, but it will result in a much more deliberate, sustainable approach to how we do things in the Central Region. All right, here's a current list of priority projects for the consistency team. We'll go through each, but as you can see, it's pretty expansive in scope. Some of these are items that will be able to be implemented during FY16, while others, like the Tornado Warning Improvement Project, may be ongoing for a long period of time. Let's start off now. First up, QPF consistency test. This is currently ongoing across the Central Region. I really want to take a minute and thank each of you for your efforts so far on this test. I know there were a lot of questions when this first came up, but everybody's made great strides in just a few weeks when it comes to our region-wide QPF. I can really tell the difference. I look every 12 hours when we get the map showing the differences between the NDFD and WPC. I can really tell the difference, and I can really see the improvements. Please keep up the good work. And please continue to provide feedback to the team during this test. The test will continue until March. It will continue actually through March of 2016. At that point, we're going to decide on a permanent way forward based on the results when it comes to a consistent approach to QPF across Central Region. Here are a few examples of what we've been able to accomplish with this test. Now on the left are NDFD QPF images from some recent heavy precipitation events. Compare these on the left to the examples on the right, which were taken in past years when there are often CWA to CWA discontinuities. It simply didn't make any meteorological sense. Your work on this is being noticed. I've already received very positive feedback from senior leadership at WPC, also from Dr. Uccellini. People were noticing, and I got to say too, this is a unique test. This is the only test that's going on across the CONUS or OCONUS for that matter of fact, that we're working with NCEP on this kind of a scope of a test. So again, congratulations everybody for getting this launched and for following through with it. I'm really going to be excited to see where this leads us. I do want to share some preliminary verification scores for QPF covering the first 6 weeks or so of the experiment. This graph shows the equitable threat score for various pieces of model guidance or blends of guidance, including the super blend that we're initializing with for the test. Now, the equitable threat scores, or ETS, is similar to the critical success index that we all know, CSI. However, the ETS is designed to account for rare events like heavy QPF. So it tries to balance POD, probability of detection, and false alarm ratio for 12-hour QPF events greater than a quarter of an inch, which is relatively infrequent during the cold season. Now, as you can see, for the first 6 weeks of our experiment, there is relatively good skill in our QPF forecast for all of Central Region, with Superblend performing the best. The key takeaway is that any of the blended starting points, such as Consol, WPC guidance, or Superblend, are more accurate in general over the long haul than individual models like the GFS, the NAM, or even in many cases, the European model. The consistency team will be working very closely with the regional DSS prototype team to begin to roll out a set of protocols and tools for collecting, cataloging, and executing decision support opportunities. These will be the same protocols and terminology being used in an upcoming national directive on IDSS. Yes, that's right. There will be a national directive on IDSS coming out. So we're finally going to get a chance to get a consistent outlook on policy from the headquarters coming on IDSS. Now, many of these tools and processes have been tested at some of our Missouri and Kansas offices as part of an initial DSS test bed, which was an FY15 regional AOP goal driven by all of you. And we're hoping to begin the rollout of some of these items starting after the first of the calendar year. These teams will continue to work together to further build out our DSS capabilities across Central Region in a consistent fashion. All right, now as a look ahead to that upcoming briefing, a few items that the DSS prototype team will discuss at that time includes how we can use common tools to elicit DSS requests from our core partners via a common form that enables us to better capture Tier 1 DSS requests. And Tier 1 DSS requests are those that require us to engage with these partners one-on-one as opposed to a one-to-many solution like a webinar. These tools will also enable us collectively to track and provide DSS using a common calendaring and logging solution. The DSS prototype team will also discuss baseline DSS training for all offices. Again, there will be more detail, much more detail on this component of the consistency team's work on that upcoming webinar early in 2016. Keep your eyes open for announcements on that. All right, let's go to the Tornado Warning Improvement Project. All forecasters begin their weather service careers by taking DLOC and AWOC training provided by the Warning Decision Training Division. This is excellent initial training for our forecasters, but once DLOC and AWOC are over, local office training on radar interpretation and warning decision-making becomes very inconsistent in both quantity and quality. And let me stop here and I want to be completely clear on this. This is not for a lack of effort by our SUs. However, it doesn't make a lot of sense to have each SU dedicate the time and effort required to put together and regularly update expert-level training on tornado and severe thunderstorm warning ops. Frankly, you'd run out of time long before you could ever have a chance to deliver the training. The consistency team has proposed putting together a small working group consisting of our foremost severe weather experts across Central Region, regardless of job title. This group will be charged with creating a robust, expert-level continuing education curriculum, which will then be provided to SUs for local delivery. They'll begin with tornado warnings, but we eventually envision moving on to severe thunderstorm, flash flood, perhaps even winter weather at some point. Needless to say, this is going to be a very long-term project, but one that I think is going to pay tremendous dividends. And again, there's going to be opportunities for all of you out there to participate if you choose. I know there's a lot of expertise out there. My goal, and as I said in my all-hands message just last week, I want to see more people tapped into, and I want to get your expertise up into these teams. So keep your eyes open for these opportunities to participate. All right, this is kind of an interesting one here, the broadcast of ROC Briefings. This item, this item falls well within the culture change category. For those of you out there that don't know, we hold a morning stand-up briefing at Central Region headquarters every day at 9:30 a.m. Central Time, where we discuss high-impact weather affecting the region, any significant equipment problems, and we get updates on the work that various folks are doing here at Central Region headquarters. Now, during their time up here in Kansas City in September, the consistency team saw these briefings. They suggested that we begin to broadcast our morning briefing each day to the field offices. I really like this idea for a few reasons. First off, it gives us a chance to be on the same page when it comes to high-impact weather events and DSS across the region. I know about you all, but when I hear stuff coming back from headquarters after an event, our Monday morning quarterbacking on forecasting, it really frustrates me. And I'm sure you all feel the same way to hear something from us Monday morning quarterbacking on an event that happened 12 hours ago. So where were you when this event was setting up? This is the question we want to answer right now, and this is our opportunity for everybody to get on the same page. Now, if there's operational or consistency challenges, we can discuss them at that time as we're setting up for the event, not during the event or after the event. If there's equipment or IT problems affecting multiple offices, this gives us a chance to share progress on fixing them instead of leaving you wondering whether anyone up here is paying attention. And it gives me the chance to connect and give positive feedback to you after high-impact events and make sure that you know that your work is being made known to Weather Service, NOAA, and Commerce headquarters, as well as the Congress and the White House. It also gives me the chance to talk every day to you, to pass along items of interest to everyone in real time, rather than sending yet another email that gets put in the, I'm sure this doesn't happen anywhere, but gets put in spam or the trash pile. Ultimately, it's going to be vital that we make sure that we're working as one team instead of thinking in terms of my forecast versus your forecast. I think this is going to be a great opportunity to begin to make that culture change. And like we set up in the slide there, we're hoping to get this underway starting in February. So keep your eyes open for that. Another area of opportunity, improving headline and product consistency. Now this is both WFO to WFO, as well as ensuring horizontal consistency within the product suite for a given office. There's a national team currently working towards large-scale hazard simplification, but there's some things that we can do in the interim to make things more consistent and hopefully a bit more simple. One way to do this may be to examine our various criteria across the region and see if there are places where the differences between offices can be minimized. There may even be some opportunities to consider eliminating some headlines that are redundant in nature or would otherwise be handled by a different headline. Now, as for horizontal consistency, such as consistency within an office, there's some opportunities to improve our headline text formatters to have them pull in an initial first guess text directly from the GFE grids. Now, this isn't exactly new. This has been done for a few years now with red flag warnings. We've also have several offices who are currently testing this concept with winter weather headlines with some early success. I think this is a concept that has a lot of potential, and we're going to look to explore and expand this off to other areas. Stay tuned on this one for much more coming on this topic over the course of 2016. All right, the last item on the list, and this is something near and dear to my heart after having spent a lot of years in aviation. The last item here concerns the need to find a way to develop a common operating picture for all parts of our organization that serve aviation interests. This goes from WFOs to CWSUs to the Aviation Weather Center. The NTSB and FAA also have identified a need for more consistent services among the various NWS entities, especially when it comes to serving general aviation. When I was at headquarters back in 2008 and 2009 working on a CWSU initiative, I was thinking I was getting some kind of a revelation from the FAA people. I had a meeting with them, and they said, Chris, we want three things from the National Weather Service when it comes to your aviation forecast. Number one, consistency. Number two, consistency. And number three, consistency. They understand that sometimes we're going to unfortunately miss the mark, but they don't want internal agencies within the National Weather Service competing with each other to provide different forecasts to the same customer. So I think we have a fair amount of work to do here, but I see some promising setups here in the future for us. Now, as part of this effort, we're going to be spinning up a joint project at the Operations Proving Ground here in Kansas City alongside AWC to test ways to create and maintain that common operating picture. In addition, we're going to be running background verification on several pieces of model guidance and GFE at each WFO. This verification data is going to help identify the strengths and weaknesses of the model guidance that's currently available. It's also going to help us identify opportunities for new or better guidance. Well, that's a pretty big list, and it's going to take us a while to get it, but every project has to start somewhere. This is the list that the consistency team has developed. It probably goes without saying that these folks are not going to be able to do it all themselves. As specific initiatives are spun up, the team's going to be reaching out to the field to tap individuals to help out. Please, as I said before, be on the lookout for these opportunities to pitch in and get involved. And feedback for these ideas is certainly welcomed and encouraged. And if you don't want to ask a question now or comment now, you can always contact Andy Boxall, Mike Hudson, or Jeff Craven by email. And again, if you just want to come to me, if there's something specific that you just want to bring up to me, let me know. Send me an email. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. And now I'm going to turn to Jeff Craven here to see if we have any questions.
All right, thanks, Chris. What we're gonna do here is take a look at the questions that we've received, and we apologize if we may not be able to answer everybody's question, but we're gonna go ahead and okay. We do have one comment that talks about the role of the ROC. Looks like one of the WFOs is suggesting that when it's very busy, that perhaps the ROC might be able to call out to WFO and ask, what can we do to help? I think that's an interesting question.
I think that's great to hear that, and that's the way that I would really like to see the ROC evolve as we move down the road here. It's not, we need this data from you, it's what can we do to help you. Good comment.
We have a question about the ROC briefings coming up starting in February. The reason we're waiting until February again is we're having construction currently right now to upgrade the capabilities in the Central Region ROC. In February, we'll be doing briefings, and someone wondering how long those will last and what time they'll start.
Okay, good question. I'm going to try and keep these short and sweet, depending on the weather. If it's a quiet weather day, 10 minutes will do it. 10 to 15 minutes, I'd say, would do it. And the good part of this, too, if your office is high and dry and you have no weather coming in, you don't have to stay for the whole thing, or you can drop off. For those offices that are affected, that maybe we want to discuss a little bit more with them, it might be a little bit longer. We can keep you on the line a little bit later, but I'd say generally 10 to 15 minutes. And I got to say, folks, too, I get it. I've worked the desk enough over the years that I understand that not every office is going to be able to dial in every day. We get it. This may work well. Maybe it won't, but we're going to sure try it and see what it is. So 10 to 15 minutes would be what I would expect every morning at 9:30 a.m. Central. And I don't see any other comments coming up. And what we'll do then, like I said, it doesn't stop now. We're just getting started with all of this. So let's go ahead and keep the questions coming. Send us emails if you have any. And we'll make sure that all the offices get this out. I appreciate the attendance today. We had a really good attendance today. Thank you all for dialing in, and I look forward to talking with you. And if I don't talk to everybody on the line again, which I probably won't get to do, thank you for all you do every day. Happy holidays to you and your families, and I look forward to a great 2016. Have a good one.